All right, welcome to Trendy Options. It is June 13th, 2018. We got through another day, and it was just as expected. A nice little move to the upside, down sideways, nice little move to the downside, and right towards the end of the day, so we really didn't get that pick me up and then go sideways. But what we did is come straight into a zone here. So let's quickly go over our futures. Okay, I was just checking out a 5-minute candle. I'll be probably trading some futures tonight, late in the hours here. So you guys may get some alerts, just a disclaimer. Let's go over here to our 2-hour candle. All right, so we came right down. I have changed everything, so it's going to look a tad bit different, but we came right down into T1. And as you can see, it worked so far. But what am I looking for? Okay, so to the upside here, T1 at 2790.5, T2 at 2797, and again, that 2797 is 76.4. We came so close to it so many times and just couldn't get up there. But I am bullish if we can base up there, and T3 at 2811 for right now. To the downside, T1 coming in at 2770. T2 at 2763, and T3 unfortunately would put us right back to the 61.8. All right, line in the sand is 2782.1. Let's go over here to the NQ. Now, talking about the NQ, remember, if you're not a futures trader, I went ahead and put on some contracts for a hedge on the tech stocks. We have some Google, right? And so we'll get to Google here in a few minutes, but what I'm looking at there is the potential is if tech breaks down, if it breaks down, and I didn't go big because, I'm bullish. So I put a whole 3 contracts out there, I think at like 52 cents or something, so spent about 150 bucks. What I'm looking for is if we get the breakdown, okay, and we break this white line here, then I would expect price to come into T1 here at 7182. And remember roughly what you're looking at for every 41 points in the NQ, we're looking for about $1 move in the Qs. Okay, so if I get the T1 at 7182, let's go ahead and do some math real quick. 7182 minus current price at 7234. We get 52 points. So I get about $1, okay? And if I go over there and look at the Qs that we put on, we have the 175. So just remember that for right now, we have the 175 puts that we put on for 50 cents before the close pretty much. All right, and I'll go over that here in a few minutes on the Qs. All right, now that's just T1, and that's just 52 points, right? T2 puts us down at 7144, so almost another 40 points or so, which would give us about $2. All right, $2 and some change actually. So those could go up 2x to 3x. So if I'm able to sell those positions for 3x, they pay for the Google trade. Does that make sense? So that's what I'm looking for on there if we break down. Obviously, if we don't break down and we turn around and start moving up, I do expect tech to follow, i.e. Amazon, Google, and so forth. And then my hedge there is forfeited, right? It's gone. However, the potential to the upside on the Googles make a lot more sense, right? So anyways, LIS here on the NASDAQ 7236, T1 to the upside 7255, T2 7281. To the downside, looking for, I do expect if we swap these real quick, so I'm going to go ahead and put a line there, and I'm going to move my yellow line, okay? I do expect this to be some support here at, see if I can get rid of this. Apologize. All right, we're just going to leave that there for a second. I do expect a little bit of support here at 7217, and then again T1 to the downside 7183, T2 here at 7144. Coming over here to the Dow Jones, what are we looking at? Same thing as today. Nice little sell-off to the end of the day. All right. Um, LIS at 25238. T1 to the downside 25160. T2 25033, and T3 back to the bell curve. I don't see that happening, but if it does, I'd be really shocked. To the upside here, back to the 61.8. Basically, it broke the 61.8. Okay. T1 at 25313, T2, and also bullish if we can stay above here at 25434, and you can see T3 up here at 25543. Let's go over here to the RTY, E-mini Russell, or IWM if you're not a futures trader. And what we're looking at, LIS at 1682.6 to the upside. A little bit of resistance coming in here at 1687.2. T1 at 1698.9. T2 at 1709. To downside, T1 1676. T2 1669. And T3 all the way down here at 1651. All right, let's quickly go over some of our positions. First of all, we sold Apple right at the right time. ABBV continues to be a huge lagger. Now, I will say this put credit spread I put on here has been a total failure, to say the least. That we sold 100. It's currently trading at 97 and some change. We bought the 98. So how does that position look? Well, if I look over here for most of you, I know you didn't put this put credit spread on, but I just want to share with you and give you an idea of what that trade sounds like and what it looks like in my phone here. So that trade currently, so the positive 5, right? The 98 puts that I bought are currently up 68%, right? So $215. I bought 5 and I sold 5. Okay, so 10 contracts total. So the contracts that I sold, the ones I'm short, the 5, those are down 106%. So the total, here is not too bad when you subtract a minus. So what it shows here is I'm down $497 on the ones that I sold. And then the ones that I bought, I'm up 215, right? So remember, doing this is a defined risk. I'm going to treat this trade tomorrow. I'm going to give it a little bit more time. So because the reason why is what I'm looking at over here on ABBV is that looking from a pivot high and pivot low standpoint, I expect price to hopefully bounce here. But if not, that's okay. What I'll do is most likely shoot for this target at 96.47. I'll buy back the calls that I'm short. Okay, I'll buy those back and let the 98 puts ride all the way down to 96 or potentially $95 and actually make some really good money. Okay, so that's my plan there on ABBV. Going over here and looking at Google, we jumped in this trade. We were pretty patient. It was a beautiful entry, and I actually tweeted out, in the alerts channel that we were up about 40% and to scale if needed. It was a quick, I think we bought at like $5, and it quickly went up to $7 or $8. And hindsight would have been a nice sell actually, for a quick scalp there in Google. Now, these lines here that you'll see on the red, I'm going to go over here to a daily and make a little bit more sense. I don't want them to seem too confusing. So from the pivot high of Google, so if we come over here, let's just look at a weekly chart. Actually, it might make it easier. So from this pivot high down here, we have this downtrend. We broke out of that downtrend, right? If you look here, give me 1 second. Okay. We broke down, or we had this downtrend here. We broke out of it, okay, for a quick little move today. And for max pain, I would expect maybe 1135, okay? 1135, currently trading at 1144. For me, I most likely don't want to be in this trade if it breaks down below 1135, okay? Now, if I get an opportunity to get out of this trade for break even tomorrow, and it doesn't look like it has any power, and the NASDAQ looks like it's not moving, I may decide to get out of the trade, okay? We could change our minds at any minute when we're trading, so, our plans change from day to day, but the important part here is not to let things go to zero. All right. So again, max pain here at 1133. Now T1 to the upside, this is what we're looking for, right? 1169, T2 coming in at 1185. That's where I have my sell there for Google. All right, and let's look at that. What does that look like on the sell for right now? Give me 1 second. Just gonna check my dome here. So if I were to sell Google there, what I'm looking at is selling it for $14.20. Realistically, if I wanted to move this down, I could to our T1 at 1169. And I can give you those numbers tomorrow when we open back up. All right, coming over here to CMG. This was a 4-hour candle, 4-hour zone that it came into, and we went ahead and bought there. And that position, you know, like I said when I took it here in the room, this is one that I didn't really have a lot of tolerance for. Okay, we bought it for 2.4. It's currently, you know, on the ask side, $2. I didn't want to see it break a certain point. So again, tomorrow, depending on where we open up, I'll decide whether or not I want to keep that. But what I'm shooting for is roughly over here, you know, at 476 and beyond. Okay, and that CMG position is we're looking at 475. Okay, so we're looking for 477 or so for that trade. The quicker, the better. I would like to see it happen. I would like to see a move come up in here by Friday. However, if it wants to move down, okay, it can all the way into the zone over here. Now the zone's already been bought up. So if I take a look at the zone, okay, this is it right here. Okay, and that zone is basically this area right there. And this candle here, actually, the wick actually came into here. So it's already been bought up. All right. So I wouldn't expect too much of a drawback here. So what I'm looking at is from this pivot low to pivot high. I'd like to see price, you know, stay within this range here at 451 to 454. Currently trading at 457. Okay. So a few more bucks of tolerance here. All right. We'd like to see it come down into the 61.8 and push back up here. All right. Roku, we did very well selling that as well. Another one that we did really well today was selling Disney, kind of at its high. Let's go over here and look at Disney real quick. Doesn't mean we can't re-enter, but this was our target, came right up into here, which reminds me of our trade in Goldman Sachs. I actually got out of this a little quick, but it was fine. So this position actually came up to our target. I think by that time it was over probably 125, 130%. And it came up. We sold before that, still made good money. Let's look at Roku real quick. All right, so Roku, we you know, set in the room is a great lesson, and that goes for anybody. If you guys have time, please come into the room and experience a little bit of webinar, some live trading, so you can kind of see what I'm doing and understand, you know, why I'm taking the trades I do and why I'm getting out of the trades that I decide to exit. Okay, so we have this downtrend here in Roku from a pivot high of 58.80, okay, to our pivot low here, okay, at $29. Nice rounding basin formation, and once this pushed up, we want to be on that side of getting long. For wedge traders, they're looking at this for this breakout, okay, and what we're looking at when I say we are in a downtrend and we first attempt the 50, technically it's a short, but you do want to take into consideration what kind of movement is coming into this position where we technically go short. Do you want to be there and go short? You know, it showed. It was a great lesson to where you could have shorted this today, but on a 15-minute candle, it came into a couple more zones, and then we went ahead. We sold our position for profits, and then we rolled out even further. So what I'm looking for here is a break of the 50 and then a move up into 47. Now we get a little bit different picture here on the daily, okay? And what I mean by that, sometimes you can't see on the weekly, we have this huge gap in here, okay? See from here to here, okay? To fill that gap is this white box. All right, so ultimately what we're looking for is a really nice run in this name, up to $48. Okay, so like another $5, right? But for right now, our concentration is to hold over the 50, base over the 50. This is a bell curve. And then I would expect after basing for a few days or so, we're going to move up into the 61.8 and try that. Now, because we have this gap, I feel like the momentum and the exuberance is going to push us into a gap fill. And then once we breach the 61.8 into the gap fill, I would expect it to break and come back down and potentially test the top of the box. What does that look like? Here, I'll show you. Okay, so on a green candle, and never mind the drawing here, we're going to push up here, okay, base, okay, and then finally, our attempt to here, okay, back, and then here. And then I would expect a nice sell-off, okay, something like this. We'll see. Somebody take a snapshot of this and we'll look back at it in a couple months, okay? Or a couple weeks. And then back to here. And then I would expect a little bit of basing here, okay? And then back up to test for a new high, okay? So that's what I'm looking for here on Roku, and that's why I took the trade. All right, looking down the list here, we're still in NVIDIA. Currently, that position's down $7. All right, so this is the 22nd that we're looking at for 267.5s. I did have a 267.5 that's on for this week. That's barely hanging on to life. It is negative. Let's look here. Okay, still looks good. It held the 23.6 like I wanted it to. And we took that move off of the 23.6. This daily candle, I'm not a big fan of it. Okay, it may want to come back and just settle here again. Okay, what do we do today? Let's go ahead and look at this pivot high to the turn, which is here. We actually pushed the 88.7. Now you guys know why I absolutely love the 88.7 and why it means a lot to me. I can't tell you when it's going to be hit, but when it is hit, it's a good selling point. Okay, so as you can see, nice move all the way up into this and then pull back here. Okay, what do we want to see? Well, for now, I'd like to see that we're going to hang out into the bell curve in 61.8 for an attempt back up to here. Okay, so saying that, like to see a move back up to the bell curve. Okay, here, another attempt, and then back to 88.7. Okay, I want to see us get above there, stay here. Okay, maybe a little bit of this, and then a breakout to T1. Okay, 269.96. Ultimately, that's what we're looking for. All right, so that pretty much sums up those. And then I do have a special request here. I think it's CJC. Not sure if that's right. No, maybe it's CG. I'll find it here in a second. Don't you worry. There we go. The Canopy Growth Company, okay, or corporation or something like that. All right, so let's go over this from the get-go. Let's go from a weekly candle. All right, this thing's a beauty. I mean, it really is. I like the separation that we're seeing here on this RSI. If you come down here and look at pivot high to pivot low, we continue to create higher lows, okay? Just like this, okay? You can see right there. Let's go ahead and mark this up real quick. I'm going to make this green. Anytime trend is up, I'm going to make it green from now on. Okay, just like that. Now, we're holding, if you look here, we're holding the 61.8 before on a smaller candle. So what I'll tell you, see this blue box here? This was a zone on a 4-hour. Price came back, tested that zone, and picked up like it was supposed to. All right, so that's amazing. And then we wanted it to close above this 29.95. It did that, so I'm going to go ahead and take this off. Now what we want to see is the 88.7, and we want it to stay above here. Okay. Now what do we expect? When we hit these fibs, they always pull back a tad. And if they just crush through them, they have a tendency to come back and give respect to those fib lines and test the waters and then move back up. Now, what you notice is that if we're looking at from a downtrend perspective, okay, so if we were to draw even more lines on here, and let me go ahead and take this fib off. So we don't really need that at the moment, but we do want, so one thing I do want to say is we want to hold this 28.55 line. This is important because in a downtrend, when we break the golden Fibonacci, we have broken the downtrend and now have created a uptrend within this range. Okay, so let's go ahead and take this out of here. Give me 1 second. Okay, so we're going to expect price to move up, but what's most important is that when we break the 76.4 again, is that we can break this high. Okay, so this move needs to not only break this high, right? So we need to come up, probably test that, make it a double top, come back, retest the 76.4, and then a move up to the 88.7. Now, typically this is a sell, so if you have more than one position, I would sell here. Okay, you would expect, depending on the candle formation, for price to probably retrace 50 to 61.8% of that move. So about right here. And then you're going to see price move back up out of the 61.8. Then your focus is here. Can it break off into higher highs? Now when it does, and we'll get to that here in a second, we do have a way to measure our moves out of here. I'd expect price, once it gets to my measured move, we're going to come back and test the breakout, which is also the previous high. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like, considering we stay bullish in this name. And this also could come all the way back to the 88.7, which is a test of this uptrend line. Okay, and then you could see a nice bounce to 50% of this line, so here, okay, and then a retest, I know it sounds crazy, back to this line, okay, and if we keep the trend, then we head that way, okay. Let's go ahead and escape from there. Now, how do we find our next numbers in this name? That's easy, right? We have no supply above. So what we want to use is a Fibonacci extension tool. All right. So the way I use it differs just a tad from some, but I like to keep and look at trends. So we know that, let's see here. We know that this is a trend up, right? And then we trend down. And what I'm looking for from this point to this point, did it retrace more than 61.8%? Yes, it did. Okay. And then we trend back to here. It's an uptrend, right? And then we come back down, and did it retrace more than 61.8%? Yes, it did. So that stuff becomes obsolete for me. So for my Fibonacci extension tool, I'm going to use from here, okay, to my high, to my low. And as you can see, it came right into a 38.2 extension, okay? But what I'm looking for is that breakout that we talked about before. Basically, I'm looking for 100. So 39.33 in this instance. Let me go back one more time. Okay, I like to do this a couple times to make sure I have this right. And a matter of fact, I don't want this move. I actually want from here to here. That's why it's good to test yourself over and over. Okay, so it was right here is what I was looking at to this low. Okay, so it looks just like that. I know when I first busted these out, they were so confusing for me, but they really are super simple. So what we're looking at, all right, again from the breakout here, it's a little bit different. The 100's at 36.77, so it's about a buck from there. But the 161.8 is the ultimate target for this guy, okay, at 42.92. All right, so that's what we're looking for. Obviously, I drew that stuff for you. What you can imagine here is every time we come to a fib line, we basically pull back, we consolidate, we go into zones, and we go further. Now here in the room, we'll keep an eye on this. And so for those traders that trade this, we'll have entries and exits all the time and kind of give you those resistance and support areas. All right, so that pretty much sums up tonight. Looking forward to the next week. Or sorry, for the rest of the week. What I'm looking for is maybe a little shakeout tomorrow. Let's go ahead and come over here and take a look at the ES real quick and just see what's going on. I know I just showed this to you a few minutes ago. All right, so it came down to the close here at 4 o'clock. My LIS is a cash close 2 o'clock. Bounced off of here. Might give me an opportunity to go short up here. Once again, that's what I'm looking for overnight. So I have myself an alert here. And that's just to cover some of the positions I have. You can hedge yourself in the futures, right? So what we want to look from here on this ES is that we don't, break below 61.8 of this move here, which basically is this pink line. Okay, so we need to stay above there, our 4 o'clock close there. So I want to stay above 27.80. That's what I'm looking for. Now, if we break down even lower, I gave you guys targets. So, and that's where if I get the opportunity and we continue downtrend, then I'll short into this area here. Okay. Anyways, that pretty much sums it up. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. You can send me a message privately on Twitter. You can put your suggestions here in the Discord room. You can also send me direct messages in Discord. And I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you tomorrow.